The Book of True Life, Teaching 41 of 366. The Master teaches, Ignorance and Materialism, a Rich Man and a Poor Man in the Beyond. Divine Revelations, Mexico, from 1866 to 1950. The Lord says, in all times I have spoken to you of the eternal life, which exists beyond the material. I have promised that all of you will possess it, but I have also revealed that you must make restitution for the faults you have committed, so your spirits may continue to develop. In order to help you, I have told you this. Perform good deeds on earth, so the seed you sow may produce good fruits, and that I, who am the way and the life, may receive the harvest. I have seen that humanity is stubborn, that it has become materialized. That is why I had to give it my teaching, to make it understand which road it must follow in order to reach the true life, and to kindle hope within it, so it might reach me. The road to perfection is long, and without my divine assistance, you would not be able to reach it. The spiritual life in the beyond is a mystery to man. So study my teaching, practice what its essence teaches you, and then, when you finally cross the threshold into the true life, you will not be surprised or confused. Humanity possessed very little spiritual development during the first eras. Man had no knowledge of his spirit's destiny after its departure from Earth, nor about its existence in the spiritual valley. Consequently, when those souls entered the spiritual valley, having departed from Earth, they fell into a deep spiritual sleep, from which they were slow to awaken. But when Christ became man in Jesus, to give his teaching to all spirits, once he had fulfilled his mission among humanity, he sent his light to multitudes of spiritual beings, who, since the beginning of the world, awaited his coming, to be liberated from their confusion and to ascend towards the Creator. Only Christ could illuminate that darkness. Only his voice could awaken those spirits and help them to develop. When Christ died as a man, the divine spirit brought light to the spiritual worlds, as well as the tombs, from which the souls emerged who had slept in darkness, clinging to their material bodies. Those beings wandered throughout the world that night, becoming visible to human eyes, as proof that the Redeemer was life to all beings, and that the Spirit is immortal. Only Jesus could show them the way to reaching the peak of the mountain of true life. Whoever believes in him, possesses faith in his divine work, and practices his doctrine, will not remain stagnant. Disciples, do not feel superior to your brothers, simply because you are able to hear these revelations that illuminate your path. The path you must travel is so long, and you must understand that you are simply taking your first steps upon it. If I reveal a few mysteries of the beyond to you, it is so you will know the path already and prepare yourselves not to stumble or become lost along it. Realize that just as there are many paths in this world along which man can go astray, there are paths in the vast spiritual valley as well that can lead the soul into confusion if it has not watched and prayed. Allow the lifeblood of my love to give you life. Remember what I have told you. I am the vine and you are the branches. You must produce fruits that glorify the tree from which you came. It is necessary that you patiently analyze my word, so that tomorrow you may know how to explain it to your brothers and practice it according to the truth it contains. When will man achieve the perfection that my law teaches him? When he has fulfilled the first commandment. For until now, humanity has loved all the things of the world more than its creator. Nevertheless, when men elevate their prayers to me, all say they love me, and when they are suffering as a result of their sins, they ask me, Lord, why do you punish us when we love you so much? But soon after I remove the harmful thorn from their path, they forget the one who loves them so much. A parable. There once were two men praying in a synagogue. One of them wore luxurious robes, and the other was nearly naked. The first gave thanks to the Creator for all that he possessed, because he believed he obtained all of it by his own merits, and he judged the one who was beside him, poor, naked, and hungry, believing that he earned the state he was in by reaping the harvest he had sown with his sin. The poor man believed himself unworthy of being in the presence of his Lord, and he asked for forgiveness and strength so he might complete his restitution. The powerful man gave thanks, believing that, since his body was adorned with wealth, his spirit must be even more so. Time passed, and death befell them both eventually. The rich man was mourned by his next of kin. His burial was festive, and he received a magnificent tomb. His spirit left its physical body, and upon entering the spiritual valley, he was disturbed, because his materialism prevented his elevation. Wherever he stepped, he stumbled, and everything around him seemed to be shrouded in darkness. Meanwhile, the poor man, who was a traveler, feeling tired, sat beneath a tree and left this earth with a sigh. No one mourned him, no one was with him in that hour, and he did not receive a tomb, because his body became nourishment for the birds of prey. His spirit crossed over into the beyond, with the same faith he had in the world, a faith directed towards the future. He came to the Valley of Spirits without anyone preventing his entry. He walked towards a light, and upon reaching it, he felt himself dressed and adorned, and those garments had a luminous sheen. He wished to rest from his long journey, but then he beheld his Father, who lovingly gave him the reward he had gained with his works of faith and his acquiescence. The one who had been powerful agonized over his haggardness. For a few moments he would forget who he was. He would weep on occasion and wonder where he was, where his body was, and where he had left his treasures. He then remembered his Lord and said to him, I am the one who presented himself in the temple, to display my wealth and power, and to tell you that I was satisfied with all you had gifted me. So why do you now ignore me and refuse to call me? Then he heard a voice saying to him, On earth you were only concerned with glory and your human vanity. You were arrogant, you humiliated the poor and were disgusted by the leper. Nothing of what you accumulated in the world could be used to help you in this life, and that is why you are now the most needy among the needy. He refused to accept and recognize God's divine justice, not interested to begin his restitution with humility. He slandered the Lord, calling him unjust, and he departed from him. More and more confused by his ire, he came across a legion of beings who were bound for Earth, planning to bring harm to humanity. He joined that legion, sowing vanity, materialism, selfishness, and arrogance on his path. But eventually, he began to feel disgusted and tired from causing so much harm, and he stopped to think for a moment. Centuries had passed. Many had fallen victim to him, for all he had influenced had fallen into perdition. He felt alone, but in his solitude he heard a voice, speaking to him from within his very being. It was his conscience, at last succeeded in being heard. He judged himself and realized that he was incredibly small compared to all of creation. Having finally subdued his arrogance, he humbly sought his Lord, and in prayer spoke to him, asking forgiveness for his transgressions. The voice of the Father told him, "I forgive you. However, start searching for that hungry man whom you judged in the synagogue." Once he was willing to follow this command, he looked up and beheld him who had lived in poverty on earth, but now he was clothed in blinding white garments, dedicated to serving his Lord, illuminating the path of lost souls. He who was arrogant, but had now repented, then spoke to his spiritual brother, "Help me fulfill my spiritual restitution." The other one, filled with love and compassion, without feeling repulsed by the impurities his brother carried within his soul, helped him in his purification. End of the parable. With this parable, I wish to make you understand what you may encounter beyond your human life. I want you to be aware of the trials that may befall those who enter the spiritual valley unprepared, because they failed to prepare their entry with works of love. I want you to realize that every being living a righteous, spiritual, and healthy life, void of all fanaticism, is setting good examples for others to follow. Examples akin to radiant lights, illuminating the path of incarnated spirits, as well as the beings who dwell in the invisible. Before Christ, no one had been able to enlighten the spirits that lived in darkness and sin. I was the first to advance into the worlds of confusion and offer my light there. And with this I taught my disciples to do the same with their brothers. For the Lamb was the only one to open the seals that kept the great book of true life and wisdom safe. The voice you hear is that of the sixth seal, and it was not heard by all nations, simply because men were not prepared, for they were arrogant when confronted with my call. Only the poor, hungry, and naked were interested in listening to my word. Today I say to you, forgive and know how to extend your hand when you are asked for assistance. Follow Elijah's footsteps of humility and patience. It is his mission to purify souls and bring them back to me. He has worked untiringly and presented a purified and sensitive multitude, prepared to listen to my word. He has brought you to the new Mount Zion in order for you to listen to my voice, and upon hearing me, you have trembled. Do not doubt, simply because I am manifesting my teaching through human spokesmen during this time. I have always surprised you and tested your faith. You have entered a new period and must now take another step forward on the path of your spiritual development. Blessed are those who sacrifice their physical bodies to perfect their spirits. Blessed are those who carry their cross with humility and patience. When I find you prepared, I will place you before a multitude, so that you might guide it. And if you persevere in virtue, arrogance will not enter your hearts. You will not feel as lords, but rather as servants, and those multitudes will ever increase in number. But woe unto those who misinterpret my mandates and lead their brothers into the abyss, instead of helping them ascend the mountain of their spiritual development. They will struggle immensely to defend themselves against their enemies, and their hearts will shatter often in that battle. But you, in your obedience, remember that you are about to conquer the summit, where all suffering is compensated with my blessing. The promised generations will soon arrive on Earth, and they will quickly advance along the path of spiritual development. They will interpret my word more accurately than you, and they will spread it among all peoples. These new human beings that I prepare today will communicate with me from spirit to spirit, giving proof of their authority among their fellow men. Beloved people, if you prepare yourselves, I will inspire in you laws and deeds which will amaze humanity. Your enlightened minds will discover all that is great and perfect within nature and your own spirits. Then you will possess full awareness of your gifts, and your works towards your brothers will be great in love and mercy. Be good laborers in the garden of your Lord. Remove the bad weeds, care for the plants, and when you see them bloom, be joyful and offer me your work. Remember that if I give you the mission of offering life to the plants, you shall not cause them pain or harm them. I am speaking of your brothers, of their sensitive hearts, so you will always watch over them with love, as I have taught you. Understand that it is not impossible to obey my laws. You need only to pray and be saturated with a firm will and love for your Father, with helpfulness and love towards your brothers. Then I will place my power within you. I do not want you to become a victim. Love, be virtuous, and my joy will be upon you. Do not blame me for you having gone astray. I have given you a conscience so that you may let it guide you with its light. It is an unyielding judge that has always shown you the path of goodness and warned you so that you might not fall into temptation. I have also surrounded you with beings that will help you understand your mission and acquire the virtues of humility and gentleness. You who prepare yourselves with love to hear my teaching do not want to miss even one of my lessons, and in your hearts you ask me to allow you to listen to every one of my words in this era. You will continue to be heirs of this grace, but you need to understand that when I tell you, ask and it shall be given to you, you must elevate yourselves in prayer in order to ask for what is beneficial to your spirit, because some only ask for things they require for their earthly lives. However, I grant according to my will and not yours. What would become of you if I were to fulfill all your desires? How many times have you persistently asked me for something, believing it to be for your benefit, waiting for it from dusk till dawn, and yet your request was never fulfilled? However, as time passed, you realized you were wrong and that the Father was right. Nevertheless, the stubborn, malcontent, and demanding ones were granted what they had requested, so that, as a result of their painful and difficult experiences, they would learn to yield to the truth. I have granted trials to all of you for your own good, and while some learn through love, others learn through pain. I rejoice upon seeing you partake of my teaching, and as you elevate your spirit, I feel the embrace of the child. The Father, yearning to be loved by those who are far away from his kingdom, has approached you in order to receive your kiss. But as long as humanity does not wish to be saved, some will see me waiting for them day after day, century after century, and others will sense that I am hanging on the cross because of their lack of love. You belong to those, but upon hearing my word, you have realized that, rather than condemning you, I have forgiven you. I have seen the bitterness on your lips, and I have sweetened them with my word. I have seen that you are weary from the trials of life, and I have given you my strength. He who feels his body broken by the pain wonders if he may have abused it, and he contritely consults me on how he may regain his vitality, which will allow him to keep on fighting. To that I tell him, press into the essence of my word, which is the law, and in its precepts and laws, each and every one will find the teaching that he requires. Do not depart until you have eaten of all the fruits of this table, and if, after that, you are not satisfied, you may go in search of other feasts. But if you wish to understand my truth, prepare yourselves, and do not doubt my presence simply because you did not receive what you had asked of me. Truly, I say to you, within the seclusion of my spirit, your treasures are awaiting the moment of your preparation, so that your spirit may receive them. Some remain strong on this path, others weaken every moment, because they heed the words of their brothers, who tempt them to abandon this teaching. The Master tells you, continue to receive my teaching for a few more days, and pay attention to what you hear from me, so you may take at least some light in your spirit with you, for you are still blind. I know that you must return to me, and that you will be apostles of this work. Whoever has heard me at least once will carry a wound of love within his heart, which will never close. How many of those who found peace here, without becoming aware of it, will have to lose it again in order to return to me? They will convince themselves that peace cannot be bought with material wealth, since it is a treasure that only God can bestow. Peace has fled from men, and to find it once more, they will have to elevate themselves towards me. Today, the powerful have lost their might. The kings tremble before their rebellious servants. The lords have become slaves. Those who believe themselves to be free are bound by my justice, and the scientists are clueless. Be aware that not even all the treasures and powers of men combined can secure them a small amount of peace, and that the gift of healing has departed from the doctors as well, who, even with all their science, will not be able to purchase a single drop of my healing balsam, for as long as their hearts do not eliminate their selfishness. Beloved disciples, do not doubt the grace I have entrusted to you, and do not be shy because of the squalor of your clothing or the humble position you occupy among your brothers. Do not fear because you are among the least important in your workplace. Do not feel humiliated. Be satisfied and consider yourselves worthy. Understand that if, on a material basis, you are subject to the command of your brothers, your spirits stand above them. You could even become slaves in this world, but your spirits have been liberated by my light, so they might dwell in the infinite and eternal. The Spirit, which truly is my servant, knows peace and true freedom. You must fulfill your mission among humanity. I will guide you, so you may enlighten your brothers. And do not feel incapable of fulfilling your destiny, for no one has ever been assigned a duty that is impossible to fulfill. It will be sufficient if you pray with purity and are always prepared. Wisdom is attained through prayer. It is the key that unravels the divine mysteries, and it is the language with which your spirit speaks to the Lord. How many miracles and how much mercy you will be able to spread along your path if you prepare yourselves as I have taught you. You will not need books of science or philosophies to acquire knowledge or learn how to teach. All you need to do is study and analyze the teachings I have given you throughout the 3 eras. Even though you are poor, you will never be outcasts. Fight for the bread of the earth, as all others do, but do not worry more than is necessary. Do not sacrifice your body to acquire and amass material goods. Arrange your time so that you can spare a few moments for the development of your spirit. If I condemn unlimited materialization in man, it does not mean that I advise you to only strive for the spiritual. As long as you are in this world and possess a material body, you must harmonize the needs of the body with those of the spirit, as much as your current development in your life allows you. Give to God what is God's, and to the world what is of the world. Clothe your body to protect it from the stress of weather, but clothe your spirit with light. Procure bread for your material body, and just as you endeavor to acquire bread of good taste and nourishing substances, seek nourishment of true life for your spirit as well. If the flesh dominates, the spirit suffers. If the spirit dominates, the material body suffers. Truly, I say to you, this occurs because of a lack of harmony between the two forces. This harmony exists when both form one single body and one single will. Do not be satisfied with the opinion that by praying you have fulfilled your mission. I only ask 5 minutes of prayer of you, so that you may dedicate the rest of your time to fighting for your material life and fulfilling the duties of your spirit, sowing the seeds of love and mercy among your brothers with your good works. My word prepares you. If you were weak, I could not send you to help those who have fallen, nor would I send you to comfort the sorrowful if you were sick. Disciples, what do you request for those who place stumbling blocks along your path to make you fall? You ask that they be forgiven. I even bless those who make you suffer for the sake of my cause. Live in peace in your homes. Make of them a sanctuary, so when the invisible beings enter, wandering bewildered around the spiritual valley, they may find within your being the light and peace they seek, and they may ascend in the beyond. What would become of these needy beings if they only beheld turmoil within your homes? Take a torch, light it, and do not allow its light to extinguish. This light represents the love for your brothers and the faith in the mercy of your Father. Then you will feel my peace in your homes. Prepare your heart and purify your soul through repentance and renewal, so you may receive the essence of my word and be strengthened thereby. I dwell among you and offer you my teaching through this word, so you may feel my presence and give testimony of me. I am giving you another opportunity to hear my teaching, because I want you to fulfill my commandments and follow the right path until you reach the promised land. Once you reach it, you may rest from your pilgrimage and receive the reward offered to you by your Father. It is necessary for you to comprehend my word, so that you will not cast it away, like an arrogant child would reject the bread that is offered to him. This word wishes to save you from your erroneous traditions, from fanaticism, and from the confusion the religions have plunged you into. If you do not understand my word, or are not willing to hear and study it, you will be rejecting me, and you will not come to know the purpose of my manifestation in this third era. The assigned date for the end of this manifestation will arrive, and then you will feel an emptiness within your heart. You will realize that you have failed to appreciate the blessing that you were given. You will call out to me, but I will no longer manifest myself through human spokesmen. You will bear the burden of your ignorance, and you will have no peace. Do you wish to drink from that cup of bitterness? I will observe you with pain in my heart, awaiting the day of your return. Allow your spirits to be free and come to me. Spiritualize yourselves so you can progress and develop along the path of true life. Be just in all your deeds, and when you correct your brothers, be neither judge nor jury. Do not take the whip to chastise your fellow men. In the second era, having entered Jerusalem, Jesus found that the temple, the place dedicated to prayer and worship, had been converted into a market. The Master, imbued with passion, cast out those who had defiled the temple, saying to them, "My Father's house is not a marketplace." However, those he cast out were less guilty than those who were responsible for guiding the spirits of men to the fulfillment of the law of God. The priests had converted the temple into a place where ambitions and grandeur reigned, and that reign was destroyed. Today, I have not taken a whip to punish those who profaned my law. However, I have allowed them to feel the consequences of their own faults, so they may come to realize that my law is indomitable and unchangeable. I have shown man the straight path he needs to follow, and if he departs from it, he exposes himself to the consequences of my righteous law, wherein my love is manifested. Devotedly guide your children. Teach them to obey the spiritual and material laws. And if they break them, correct them. For you, as parents, represent me on earth. Remember Jesus, who, imbued with holy anger, taught the merchants of Jerusalem a lesson for all times by defending the divine cause, the unchangeable laws. Humanity asks me for a tranquil existence, wherein it possesses the gift of peace, which it attains through the fulfillment of its duties. But I ask you, do you really need to experience war before you can have peace? Behold how the good seed has been annihilated by wickedness. Some nations destroy others, and those that are strong today will be destroyed tomorrow. In these moments, the people of Israel intercede on behalf of humanity, telling me, "Master, I have prayed, but you have not granted my request." My people, do you know how much suffering you have alleviated and how much hope your prayer has inspired in those beings? It is not my duty to declare peace on earth. No, it is man who must declare it, once his heart has turned to love and humility. How great is the ignorance presented to me by humanity! Neither the wise nor the ignorant have obeyed my laws, and although I am as master among them, they have not listened to my lessons. If your faults bring about your spiritual death, nourish yourselves with my word, the bread of eternal life. Be alert, practice my doctrine, and love your brothers. This teaching is like a new day, illuminating the path of humanity. You have seen an era disappear, like a sunset, and a new dawn appear, a time in which men will spiritually awaken and become enlightened. You have seen negative passions unleashed, sin offering bitter and painful fruits, evil invading homes and nations, and injustice dominating man. But I come to put a stop to all those things, not to judge the world, but to guide it along the right path. Do not attribute your suffering to me, for it is you that have caused your own pain. I have created you to live, experience, and elevate yourselves through your merits. Nevertheless, I love you, and because I love you, I share your pain. I have come as a comforter and teacher to return to you what you have lost, and to announce to you that the kingdom of peace is descending upon mankind. You must prepare yourselves to enter that kingdom. Humanity will be transformed, and goodness will dwell within the hearts of men. I have spoken to you in many forms since the beginning of time, so you might understand me. I have especially spoken to those of you who have been my trusted friends, my spokesmen and messengers, you who have taken my messages to the other nations. Today I tell you to patiently continue with your mission. Do not hesitate, even when faced with the incredulity and incomprehension of your brothers. While you have believed in my manifestation as the Divine Spirit during this era, others are still not prepared to receive these news. But do not reject your brothers or become disillusioned because of it. What you yourselves cannot accomplish, I will accomplish, and I will present my doctrine to the world and fulfill my promise. I have chosen this nation, and it pleases me that my workers will arise from this land to spread the good seed. I am preparing you to be teachers and not judges among your brothers. Do not forget that I have left you among your brothers as servants and not as lords. When this word becomes known and sought by your brothers, I will tell them, "Come to me, wanderers, for I possess the water that will quench your spiritual thirst." I behold you in poor spiritual and material condition, but I wish to give you much more than what you request. I offer you a kingdom of peace, the same that I offered to the first beings I sent to this earth. This is not the water of springs or the fleeting peace that lasts but a moment, but the eternal grace and peace, the truth and the light. I bring forgiveness and comfort to all, to those who love me, as well as those who feel indifferent towards me. I do not curse the one who has harmed me, rather I bless him, for I know that he will love me someday. You shall not yearn for earthly pleasures, for the things that exist today will be no more tomorrow. Seek the eternal life and prepare yourselves for it. That life which no one wishes to leave, for it is the supreme truth. Reach it by traveling along the path of my teaching, by fulfilling the commandment I have given to you throughout all times. Love one another. How your Father rejoices when he communicates with his children. After this time in which I gave you my word through human spokesmen, you will learn to seek me in the infinite, and your communion with me will be purer and more constant. It will be the communication of spirit to spirit. What joy I behold in my children when they begin to hear me once again. How they recognize and follow me. Again, my children, I repeat, love one another as I have always taught you. I have called you to make you great in spirit, and not lords of the world. If you are humiliated for the sake of my cause, I will praise you. If you endure suffering, I will comfort you. My peace be with you.